Hey guys, sorry for interrupting. I'm Lou Nieves Jr. alongside
Jesse Torres.
And Jesse has a hair problem today. We're just going to start off with that. Go
Really?
ahead. Tell them.
I was going to ignore it and not even say anything
you gotta
about
say it. Go ahead. Say what you got to say before we start this show. You take literally 2 hours to do your hair. Like, I'm not even lying. 2 hours.
No, I do not.
I could watch a whole movie before you are done with your hair. Why?
Like
Why
the
do
whole
women
process,
do this?
like washing my hair.
Yeah, the washing.
Well, I'm taking a shower,
Okay.
and then
The shower takes long. But
yes, the shower itself takes long.
Okay.
And then if it's like a hair wash day, then that takes even longer because you're like, I don't wash my hair every single day.
No, obviously I know women don't do this, but what would you say in a time frame? Be honest. From the moment you get into the shower to the moment that you are done. We're all waiting.
An hour and a half.
Wow. So Jesse's like, oh, what are we going to talk about? We knew what we were going to talk about, but she just wanted to know like the agenda, like how things were going to be broken down today. And I said, well, first do what you got to do and then come talk to me.
The reason why was because I needed to know about my hair. Like, it takes a long time.
So wait, are you telling me that
then
you need to know?
Then I did my hair and it didn't come out the way that I wanted because when you have curls, it just has... it has a mind of its own. There's
so for
times
those that
that
are listening, her little curl just came out of her hair. This is why you got to watch the podcast so you can see the stuff that everyone else sees. Well, go ahead, tell them.
There's days that you're going to have some good hair days, and then there's going to be some days that you're just like this. And it really changes my mood.
I was just going to say that. Your hair determines your mood.
Yeah, like if I have my hair in a bun and I know there's going to be like a bummy day, like it's just going to be either slicked or it's going to be in a bun, I don't care. Like I know for a fact it's going to be messy. But the simple fact that I'm like washing my hair like 3 times and then I'm putting my products in my hair and then doing my whole hair for it not to come out right, like the way I want it.
This is why
there's a podcast. I think there was either a podcast or a vlog, and my hair was like so curly, like it was so flawless. I think it was a vlog.
It was a vlog, our 1-year anniversary vlog, where things didn't go right. Things didn't go as planned. I think that's the episode. Was it that one?
There was like one or two, and I'm like, oh my god, I love my hair like that. Only if I could just like take it out and that's it. Like, you know, not guess how it's gonna be. And since it's so long, like it's
this
long.
This is why I suggested that.
So I'm cutting my hair. I'm chopping it off.
I told her cut it like Jada Pinkett, so you don't have to worry about nothing.
How would it look?
I don't know, but by you doing that doesn't help the situation.
Whatever. I may cut it. Next month.
Yeah, your birthday's
my birthday.
Coming. First day of spring.
Yes.
So,
well,
what?
For the first time, it changed.
Oh, because
of the extra day because it's a leap year.
Yeah.
So every leap year, every 4 years, it changes. So it's not technically the first day of spring this year.
Okay.
But usually it is
March 20th.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be 33.
I'm a spring baby.
You're gonna be old, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since we're on the topic of getting old, as you get old as you get older and have children, and your children get older, this topic comes up.
The birds and the bees.
So it's funny because Alex Ralph posted on his Instagram story about how does he have that conversation with his son now that his son is getting older.
How does his son?
I don't know. I want to guess, but then I know I'm going to get it wrong.
Probably.
But I'm going to say he's 11. So his son is getting older and he doesn't know how to have that conversation. And I told Jesse, I said, did you ever have that conversation? Like the bird, I said, I never had that conversation.
I never had. My mom.
And I never had sex ed in school.
We did.
So,
but the conversation at home.
What was it like for you? As a female, which is even harder, I think, to have that conversation.
That conversation at home, it didn't happen. It was more like, you don't have sex, you don't get pregnant, that's it. Like, oh, okay, can you guys tell me? Like, and I think it's like a very uncomfortable conversation that parents have. Or they make it. Of course. They make it uncomfortable, right? Because you feel like if you talk about it, you're kind of giving permission to do it, kind of. Right? But
are you though?
No, you're not. But I think that's how it was. That's how it was brought up. Like, I
That's
think
the
like
thought process of the parent.
Yeah, it's the light.
What's
Is that you
wrong?
kicking it?
Oh, did I kick the camera?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The light.
Oh, I kicked the light. I apologize. I'm like, yo, is someone there?
Wait. You don't see that? It's gonna fall.
And she's looking into the distance, and I'm like, wait, someone came in? I'm like,
Sorry,
you're gonna mess
guys.
up this whole podcast. But go ahead.
I think it was just how they were brought up. Like, they didn't have the conversation. And
Okay, so you're saying like each generation of like mentioning or of giving awareness to the child of sex education or sex in general was harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, like, in my situation, my mom, it was never like a sit down or it was never a conversation.
It was not even brought up. It's like, we don't talk about it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it was like, okay. Or it was more like, you see this person got pregnant, you don't do that, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in my situation, because my parents didn't talk about it, that's the reason why. Like, I was very, I guess, rebellious and just naive. I was very naive, and I fell into situations that then I end up getting pregnant at 16. Not because my parents weren't there or my parents weren't awesome or like they missed something. It wasn't anything.
People tend to put those two together like, oh, the parent was a bad parent. That's why the child.
And it wasn't. My mom was
pregnant,
great. And my mom always said it, like, my kids are great in front of me. I teach them everything, but what they do behind me, I don't know, and I don't have control. And that was my way. That was my thing. I was just like, I want to discover or do my own thing. Like, I was you tell me no, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. Like, you know, I was just very rebellious and not like so bad, but and then I got pregnant 16. So now the girls are about to be 10.
Well, people doing the math, they would think that your children would be older.
Oh, whoa. Okay, yes. Sorry.
You got to get people up to speed.
I know. I'm sorry. For those that don't know, my first daughter, she passed away after I had her at 6 months. And I'll get, into this topic more.
But yeah, just for those that don't, because when you say they're 10 and you had at 16, you're 30, gonna be 33.
Yeah.
Like,
So my first daughter, when I
math.
was pregnant at 16, I had her. I had complication in my pregnancy, and when I gave birth to her, she lasted a month and 2 days due to her lungs issues. So that's why she didn't last. She's my guardian angel, and then 6 years later, 6 years later, I was blessed to have twins, which they're now
gonna be 10.
Gonna be done. So they were having so I always spoke to them about destiny. That's my first daughter's name. About destiny, like they always knew because I had the chain that I never take off, and they were like, who's that, whatever. Since baby, but then questions they will have.
They start doing the math like, wait,
yes,
you had a baby.
How old was Destiny? Right when she passed, and it's like, oh, she was a month and 2 days. I'm okay with that, right? And then it was like they started asking questions, and I would always tell them like just enough for them to know with their knowledge, like with their age. So like I never really went into it like so young. I'm like, when the time comes, I'll speak to you about it, right? On certain situations, about their dad. Like at one point, they thought their dad was
the father.
Destiny's dad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, at certain time I'll explain it to you, and it's like very uncomfortable because it's just like I don't know if they're able to understand. It's like I don't want to mess up their minds, whatever, blah blah blah, right?
But if they ever watch this episode, now they know.
Yeah, no, but they but they're now knowing more.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm joking.
So I always try to speak to them where they're on their level, and I'm like, okay, talk to me about what do you think, what do you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But because I was never spoken to, and getting pregnant at 16, I'm like, okay, this is something. And I heard something that where they're like, share your story with your kids. You don't want somebody else to share your story to them.
Yeah.
And then they're confused.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, well, I have to share my story. So I did. I share certain parts of my story, and I did tell them I was young, and I told them, and then I started having conversations, and then there was things where, young kids, like, there's a lot of stuff on, like,
the internet and social media.
Yes. And kids are gonna start feeling, and they're, growing up, and their bodies are changing.
Yeah.
So it's like they're confused.
And they're more exposed to all this stuff.
Yes.
Too.
And they're confused. So it's like, I know how it felt for me being confused and not being able to talk to my parents. Like, what is this? Or what am I feeling or anything like that? So little by little now, I'm trying to bring that up to them. Like, you're going to have changes, like, girl stuff.
Now, you were watching a film with Jalen the other day.
Oh, yes.
And tell them about that experience. So what happened? Because this is how things started, like, coming together. But go ahead.
Yes. So we're watching My Girl. And Veda, she gets her period, right? And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes to the lady, I forgot her name, Shelly. And then the stepmom, or about to be stepmom.
I don't remember the movie.
So she goes, I'm hemorrhaging, right? She's like,
what?
Hold on.
Child knows that word, man.
Right? So she goes, hold on. How old are you? She was like 11 and a half or something like that.
How would someone know that
So then
word?
the mom, because she was so, oh my God, I should know this because I work in the medical field. But when someone gets scared of getting all these diseases and getting sick, that's what she was, because her father worked in they had a funeral home in their house.
Gotcha. So she learned that term.
Yeah, so she was paranoid about everything. Everything, she would go to the doctors.
Okay.
So she was like, oh, I'm hemorrhaging. So the lady goes, how old are you? She was like 11 and a half. And then she goes, okay, it's not that. And then they changed the screen, right? The shot.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it says, well, that's how your mom and your dad made you. Jalen was like, huh? Like, I'm like, from your period? Like, so that, like, that was a whole lot of information, like,
that
at
was not,
once.
Yeah, that was not even exposed in the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't. So then I'm like, Jalen, what do you know? Like, because then she started laughing. She was like, wow. And I was like, what do you know? And then we started talking. And I just wanted to know where her level was at, right? And I want her to feel comfortable. Because that's one thing about your kids. You want them to open up to you, but you want them to be comfortable with you. So she started telling me a little bit what she knew. And then that's when I, had a conversation with her about your body changing and feelings and getting your menstrual. And, I want them to know this is their body, this is their temple, this is something that this is their own. It's not for somebody else to touch, like, at a inappropriate time, And I feel like, for me, because I can only speak for me, right? Not knowing and having these feelings that women and men get, and I'm being, like, very real, that we get at an early age, you're just like, what? So then when you start having guys and girls around and someone's giving you this, touchy or, like, playing around, you're like, ooh, this is a new thing. Like, I like that. And then if it's a guy, like in my case, if it was a guy who's more experienced and they start, talking to you or, and if I'm not aware of my own body or I was never spoken about protecting myself and this is a temple and this is something special, like, I wouldn't have gotten led to that where I end up getting pregnant because it was just like, ooh, and the person knows the feeling that, or assumes whatever. And it's like, you're just experiencing something that both of you probably either don't know or one is more experienced for. And that was in my situation where one was more experienced. I didn't know. So he brought that up to me and it was just like, wasn't aware of that. Had I had more conversations, I would have known to protect my whole body.
Okay. Now, with that being said, right, now that we're getting close to, they're going to be 10. They're more exposed than we were at their age. What goes through
I get, like, nervous. Just
and this is the one thing I told Jessie. I know I'm going off topic here, but I told Jessie when I met her, because I didn't know, like, when we first met, I didn't know she had kids right off the bat. Like, the first time you didn't know, you didn't tell me. And in any of your pictures on Tinder, you didn't have any of your pictures with the girls. No. I know. You wouldn't.
Trying to have a conversation with people. That's it.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is because at that time in my single days, I am looking for a female to be with that doesn't have children. A couple things. I don't want to get married at this time. I don't want to date a woman with children.
You're talking about when you first.
Yeah, when in the single. So meeting Jessie, I'm like, okay, this is great. She doesn't have kids. She's single. She's of age. Like, not of age, not like a 12-year-old, but she's in her 30s. She's on my level, kind of thing. And then, not when she said, "Oh, I have girls," I'm like, "Oh, damn, delete." But
it's like, "Oh my god, it's swipe left."
no, she's like, "I have kids." I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay, she got kids. Maybe this ain't gonna work." And then I'm like, "How many kids? Okay, maybe one I could deal. Two, I don't know. Three, no." She was like, "I got twin girls," and I said, like I just shot myself in the head because I never wanted to have a girl. Like even when my son's mother was we got to get the gender reveal, like
because he didn't want to have kids at all.
No, yeah, okay. Yeah. So you want to backtrack more? I never wanted to have kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if I did, I was like, okay, I'll have one, and it better be a boy. He's gonna be named after me. And it's gonna be when I'm in my 30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of that happened, obviously,
because nothing goes planned.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So okay, I did have the boy. He does have my name, but it wasn't at the age that I wanted it. Mm-hmm. But you can't be choosy. I got my son, and I'm grateful for it. So when Jessie said she had girls, I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, this is why I didn't want like girls, because of this topic right here of talking about sex with them. And of course, you have to have that conversation with not that I'm their father, but like with a father figure type, because it's okay to get it from the mom, the female's point of view, but to get it from a male's point of view is also important, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to take that job away from their father either. But I know that topic is going to come soon, and it's already, and I'm sorry I keep doing that. I don't know why. Maybe I'm running out of breath, but the conversation's just like, it's making me nervous. My hands are getting sweaty.
Right? Like, it's so crazy because we're like, okay, we're going to talk about this. And then as I'm sharing information, we're talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm nervous as heck. Like, I guess my cheek, like, you guys could sense it.
So I'm like, now that she told me this, I'm like, wow, what do we do? How do we break this down for them in a way where it's not
a bad thing?
I know it's not. And you want to have them aware. You want to have these conversations. You want to be transparent with them and open with them as much as possible. And I'm kind of nervous because I don't know where to go with this, because of course they're not my girls, but I do consider them my girls. I'm not their father, you know, and I would never tell them that, hey, I'm your dad. But I would like to give them a point of view that from a male's perspective. And when you talk about it, and I think I'm like, okay, I'm just going to tell them this is how babies are made, and just don't do it. And if you decide to do it, because whatever you do behind my back, I can't control, obviously, like you said, please wear protection.
But you see, that's the mentality
like,
that we were brought up with. Like, so just imagine, right? We don't know. Like, we're getting nervous and we're we don't know. Yeah. So I was doing reading about it, and I was just like, okay, how do you break it down? And it's like, first of all, this is not just a one conversation that you have.
No, it's not like this is
gradually something that you, every age, you have to keep, like, by the time that they're, like, already starting to, like, develop and stuff, this is when you're supposed to be more on it. For me, I started with the girls around 8:30, like 9 o'clock. Yeah,
a little bit of conversations.
Oh yeah, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. 9 years old. Were little informations, and then now is where they're about to be 10 in a couple months, and I'm like talking to them more. But we need to be comfortable with where we stand with what conversation we're having at the appropriate time.
We have to have a game plan.
How to do it, and not to do it in where it's like this is a bad thing. This is something great. You learn yourself. You learn your body. All these changes are happening. Guarding yourself, guys and girls.
Yeah. And I'm glad Louis 7. We're not ready for that conversation.
But guys and girls, because it's not only just girls, guys too.
No, you gotta have the conversation with the guys too.
With the boys. And I think it's just awesome. You just have to find your way. It could be while you're playing, you're doing something, an activity. Car conversations are the best conversations to have when you're bringing, and not only just car, because then they're gonna get in the car like, oh my God, we're gonna talk about something serious now. But you know, like car conversations is great because you don't have the eye to eye contact, but you're still together.
Yeah, I get it.
You're paying attention,
but
right?
I do think it's important that you have that eye-to-eye contact.
Well, yes, I know, but I'm saying
the car
like
rides are good. I'm not gonna lie, they are.
Yeah,
but I think something serious. I don't know.
Well, you don't want it. You could start touching base on it, or you could continue, but like not like the whole full thing. Like you always want to like interact and make sure that they're paying attention. You see their level of uncomfortableness, right? Yeah. And then I think you work on it. Like with me and the girls, like I'm not the best. I'm learning. I mean, I think there's no book that is like, okay, turn to page 15 and this is going to tell you.
No, I know. There's no there's no right way, but I think it's interesting to, and I think if you're watching or listening, if you have any advice or any experience that you had with your child, please put them in the comment. Please let us know what you went through and how you handled the situation, because everyone is different.
Everybody is different, and
every situation is different.
Yeah,
too.
I try to just talk more to the girls because I wasn't talked to. And it's not just about getting pregnant. Like, it's not just about, oh, if you get pregnant, because a lot of, like, one of the girls in the mentoring program that I had with my sister, she put me to the side and she was like, so because you got pregnant, no, because you had sex in a young age, that's why you lost your daughter? Like, and I'm like, no.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like, no.
Like you were being punished?
Yeah, and then it was just, exactly. And I'm like, no. But there's so much more. Like, my body wasn't developed properly, which could have caused it. There was more to it. But,
of course.
That you could get STDs. There's so much out there by just not just
diseases.
And not just having sex, but like, exposing yourself or letting somebody into your body, your temple.
No, you're absolutely correct. I just feel that in a situation like this, it's so difficult because of the exposure to it. Because if we don't have the conversation, someone else will, or something else will, and then they're gonna look at it and be like, okay, I know what I'm doing because I learned it. But instead of having that conversation with your parents and having an in-depth conversation from someone, what they're watching, they're just
you're curious, right?
Yeah,
because you
can't ask the screen questions.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be like kind of a little bit well, not a little bit real. I'm gonna be real, but about this. So because I didn't know, right, about anything, you're little, you don't know anything. But when you're first exposed to something, you're like, what? So my first, like, I was exposed to was flipping the channel, and we didn't even have the channel. It was like back in the day, it was the scramble one, right? So it was like boob. It was like two people together, like and it was just like.
How many times did you click back and forth to get the whole video?
I was like,
your thumb must have been very stressed out.
So it's just like, no, because it could stay there. Like, it'll stay on the channel and it'll just do that.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then, because if you didn't have like a certain channel, it'll just like blur it, but then you could see little parts of it. And I was just like, wow. That's how I was first, like, I saw something that
you've never seen before.
Yeah. And then, like, something just like did something to my body. And I was just like, and then that I could have. If I had that open relationship with Mom about something, I could have been like, Mom, I feel something. Like, or what is that? Or, like, and that's what I want to do with the girls. Like, I want to have that open, that if they feel or see or hear something, they're able to be like, Mom, what is that? And if I don't know, then we'll work to know it, like, together. Yeah,
when I was exposed to it, my cousin was sleeping over, and he was like, hey, you want to see something? I'm like, yeah, sure. And he was older than me. I mean, he is older than me. And I looked
He stopped aging?
No. You know what I'm saying? I looked up to him because he was funny. He was, like, very charismatic. People liked him. I'm like, oh, I want to be like him. So anything he did, kind of, you look up to you want to do, or you listen, you know? So he's like, you want to see something? I'm like, yeah, sure. What is it? And then because in the home that I grew up in, we all had what's called a hot box, where you get all the free channels, right? So this is before the direct TVs and the Fire Sticks and all that. This is showing my age, in the 90s. So he puts it on. I never knew this channel existed. I remember it was like channel 63 or 65. If you grew up in Brooklyn, you definitely know what I'm talking about. Or if you grew up in my household, because everybody lived in the same building. It was like a soft porn channel. And I've never seen nothing like it. I'm like, what are they doing? And he's like, they're having sex. I'm like, what's that? So he's explaining it to me. I've never learned that. I might have been like 9 years old. I'm like, oh, wow. That's cool. Like, and then I didn't ask questions. I just watched. And it's the first time I'm seeing breast, and first time I'm seeing, like, other female parts that I never saw before.
You're getting interested, and you're just like, what is this feeling that I'm having? That's what I'm saying. You're just, now you're curious, because you're just like, something just sparked up. Yeah. And you've never heard about it. You've never, like, no one ever spoke to you about. And now you're going to do your own research. And then because they never spoke about it, you feel guilty to even mention it, because then you think it's a bad thing. Yeah. That's why you can't bring it up like it's a bad thing. Like, this is something very sacred. Like, it's
And they're gonna
it's
learn
great
it sooner
at
or
the
later, but you
like at
wanna
the
be
right time with
Yeah.
the right person, with marriage, if that's what you want to do, but something
Yeah.
where it's not just
it's to me it's very important that
And
children
school-
are learning this in the school as well.
And school touch base on it, but just like lightly, because I feel like they don't know how much. Well, for me, or maybe I didn't pay attention. Like how much of it, but this is something that this is why parents can't just depend on school education, like for the teachers to just teach them everything, because it starts at home, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I remember.
As uncomfortable as it is, it can be, but we have to.
I forgot what it was, and it wasn't sex ed class. It's sex ed class. It was they wheel in the TV, the Bay 2 TV. They put it on, and they're showing the birth of a child. And I remember it vividly because it was disgusting. And even when my son was born, I did not watch it. I was there, but I didn't watch it because I just found it disgusting. I still do, and it's okay. Besides that, watching this video of the child being born, and I was just like, what is this? Why are you showing us this? Like this is nothing to do with me. I'm a male. It's not gonna come out of me. And at the time, I'm a young kid. I don't care. And I literally didn't watch it. I think I even went to sleep. But I remember seeing bits and pieces of it. And I'm like, why are they showing this in class? And now that I'm older, it's like, okay, maybe this is something that needs to be brought into the class to show children how childbirth is done and how does it get there, And, we are not teachers, but we can teach from our life experience where we can break down from our perspective. And I think it's important that they hear from us because then they can ask us questions and our experiences and we can talk and have that relatable. Whereas it's like a teacher, they can't get too personal and then you're crossing some boundaries. It's just a whole lawsuit.
Even with like having the kids, and this is like when they're a little bit smaller, they substitute their private areas with different names. Just so then it could sound better this way. But instead of saying penis and vagina, they're saying something else. Yeah. Now, I use something else to kind of discreetly, if we're like, if we're downstairs in my mom's house and they're taking a shower downstairs, I'm like, make sure that you clean, and then I'll say the name. So, but it's something that we only know. I don't want to expose them. Like, I wouldn't say it anyway out loud like that too. But they know what vagina is and they know what penis is. And I think it's very important for them to know what it is. It won't be a shocker as they grow up and be like, what is that? Why? What is that? So I think it's always keeping it real, knowing their age and how much of information you can give them, because you don't also want to give them extra information. They're not even there yet, and then they're like, oh, okay, so
I guess you want to gradually introduce things to them.
And then I was reading online, it was like between like 8, 9, but every child's different. Everybody how they learn. Someone's smarter at a very young age, and it's like but I've been telling the girls about like periods. Like, I don't want them to be scared at school and get them out of, like, I showed them, like, and this is so important for mothers, and it may be so uncomfortable, and I know I'm like sharing a lot. It may be so uncomfortable, but show them their body parts, like have them feel comfortable with their own body parts. It's not bad to discover yourself, like, and just show them. Like, I told them, this is where your the period comes from. Like, some people was like, does it come from, like, they don't know. They don't know where it's coming from. You talk to them, you show them. If you don't know how to say it, there's videos on YouTube. There's videos everywhere where you could have these conversations. But
yeah, man. Listen, that was
uncomfortable, but
I was just gonna say that was uncomfortable, but I'm glad we had that talk, and hopefully you guys can have that talk with your children as we try with ours. But thank you guys for watching, and
figure out something with my hair.
Yeah, this is our story.
Wait,
what?
Hold on.
Oh my God, the time is gonna go.
I lost 1 more pound. You gotta be excited.
Go,
yeah. I lost 1 more pound. That's just the follow up, and then that's it.
All right, this is our story.
We're sticking to it.
Bye.
Adios.